So ever since I started my channel, I've always wanted to make commentary videos about voicing my opinions on certain topics, mostly Sonic related. So as I feel like my opinions aren't really represented that much in a current discussion in the fandom, and this video actually started out as a big video encompassing all my underrated / controversial Sonic opinions, one of them being the overuse of Green Hill Zone. But as I went on and even recorded a first draft of this audio, I realized it would be way too big of a task to edit and record all of that in one video, so I decided to break them down and make them separate. The last commentary video I made that you probably saw was the Classic Sonic retcon, and that was a partial result of this idea. The video you're watching now, and I'm recording right now, is the Green Hill being overused video. That's a direct result of that. So with the introduction out of the way, let's get into it. So first of all, I don't really care about the quote overuse unquote of Green Hill Zone in more recent Sonic games. In fact, I kind of like it when they do it. I like what they do with the zone whenever they do bring it back, like with the brand new, at the time, HD graphics of the Generations versions, or the sand infestation of the Forces version, which a lot of people say isn't enough to differentiate it from the other versions, but personally, I think it is. One thing that is weird about it though is how it's not really explained how the sand ended up there in the first place. It's most likely just a Phantom Ruby's doing, and so that's what my personal headcanon is. But anyways, even when they don't change up the season or the environment all up that much, it's still nice when they still put a new spin on it. Like Windy Hill or Sky Road from Sonic Lost World. Those games may not have changed the climate or season all that much, but I like the whole twisty and planetoid theme of that game. I think makes it more unique enough, in my opinion, for not to be called a quote rehash unquote. There's also the fact that this really isn't a new issue in the series. A lot of people seem to act like that this is a new issue for the series that started when Mania and Forces came out, but as Charlie Fly likes to point out in all his everything wrong with videos, in almost every single game from the 90s and even some from the 2000s, there is a level that resembles a Green Hill Zone on some level, whether it be Emerald Hill, Angel Island, Palm Tree Panic, Neo Green Hill Zone, I mean come on, that's in the name, Seaside Hill, etc. My point is that this isn't a new issue that suddenly appeared when Mania and Forces came out. And then we have fan games. Many people like to point out how Sega loves to reuse Green Hill Zone, but never do the same for all the countless fan games and demos that do the same thing. Some of the most popular fan games, those being Sonic Utopia, Sonic World, Sonic Mania on a technical level, Sonic Robo Blast 2, and even Sonic Green Hill Paradise Act 2, I mean come on, that's in the name as well, all use Green Hill or a Green Hill-like stage as either a first stage or a demo level. Sure, you might say fan games have the excuse of a low budget or no budget at all. Meanwhile, the devs at Sega / Sonic Team are backed by a multi-billion-dollar company, and therefore shouldn't have to rely on reusing all assets. While to an extent that is true, we have to realize that Sega doesn't always, if ever, give Sonic Team the right amount of time or money to make the games that they want to make. Not only that, but you have people calling games like Sonic Forces and Team Sonic Racing budget games, due to their lower price tag and the reuse of assets and level things, which is exactly what a lot of fan games do. And besides, there's one thing that fan games have that Sonic Team doesn't, and that's time. Fan game devs aren't held to the strict time restraints that Sonic Team has, and therefore they can take as long as they need to. They can take the time to create new environments, create more unique assets, and if they can't do that, there's other levels they can take from, which granted a lot of them recently have done both. I'm just trying to bring attention to the fact that it's a bit hypocritical of the fandom at large to slam Sega for reusing assets and yet praise fan games for doing the same thing. And we're going to continue to use the Sega hired this man mindset and act like Sonic Team can't do anything right and that fan games are a replacement for mainline Sonic games, or something along those lines, then I suggest we hold these fan games to a higher standard. Now, I'm not saying we should go out and harass these developers or to put a huge amount of pressure on them, but we really should be a bit more critical and not mindlessly praise them because they look good, like a lot of people did with Sonic Omens. We need to pay more attention to the level design and writing if the game has a story and voice acting. Things that people criticize the actual Sonic game for. And then there's things like Project 06, in which there's a lot more people that think that version of the game is a definitive replacement of the original 06, which in my opinion is true to an extent, but it's still missing a ton of stuff the original 06 had, like the story mode and the multiplayer mode, along with the hub worlds. And without those, you can't really have the true 06 experience without those. But that's neither here or there, as I am straying just a bit too far away from the main topic. So I think I'll end it here for now, but I do have a lot more to say about the whole fan games replacing real games topic, more specifically on Project 06, which I'll probably end up making on my own anyway, but if you people really want to hear more from me about it, then please let me know in the comments, as it might give me the push to make that video sooner. And as a final note, this isn't a target against everyone who enjoys fan games or thinks that these games are better than the main games. This is really referring to those people who are trashing on Sonic Team and think that fan games should replace the main games since they can't do anything right, apparently. Anyways, that's it. That's all for now, and I'll see you guys later.